Greetings, child. I can see that you seek knowledge. Knowledge of the forbidden. Knowledge of the eldritch. You seek to delve into madness. Yes, you want to answer the call. The Call of Cthulhu. Well, if you wish to delve into eldritch secrets from time before time, then stay tuned. Welcome to Call of Cthulhu, the eagerly anticipated game based on the tabletop RPG of the same name where you get to delve into your own personal madness that is the Lovecraftian universe. Fair warning, there will be spoilers for the game in this review, so if you have played it yet, or haven't played it yet, I highly suggest doing so before watching this video, as the game is an incredible experience to behold. With that out of the way, let's jump into the madness. After you awaken from your fish gore-induced haze, you find yourself in a cave of sorts, where the game introduces you to a few of the key mechanics you'll experience throughout. The first of which being a lighting mechanic where you pick up a lantern. It allows you to illuminate the room around you at the cost of some oil. After wandering around the cave and bearing witness to a little bit more of the various fish guts that they have, you eventually come across a room that shows you an absolutely horrifying and completely foreshadowing-free cutscene where you have a mini heart attack and awaken in your office. You are Edward Pierce, a private investigator and our protagonist to the story. Once waking up, you get to explore your office a bit, see the world exploration mechanics, as well as the stats of your character and any madness you have been introduced to throughout this playthrough. You meet your soon-to-be client, Stephen Webster, who introduces a conversation mechanic to you, and tells you of his daughter, Sarah Hawkins, and how she seems to have been killed recently. He hires Mr. Pierce to go and investigate her death on Darkwater Island, a small fishing village just off the coast of Boston where you reside.
Almost there.
Welcome to beautiful Darkwater Island. Here you get to meet a whole cast of interesting characters, including James Fitzroy, the grizzled old fishing captain, a bunch of sailors who are a little confused on the burial habits of killer whales, Officer Bradley, your soon-to-be only friend on this godforsaken rock, this man here that disregards this fine bar's health codes, a mob boss on the worst possible tract of land anyone could own, and a whole host of other characters that will in no way, shape, or form ever try to bring harm to you later on in this game. After sightseeing on the many beautiful streets on this island, you are introduced to yet another mechanic of the game where you must explore areas to solve environmental puzzles, usually in the form of repairing or putting back some type of machinery. Upon finding a glowing green cave in what is possibly the worst choice you've made in your life so far, you come face to face with thalassophobia and why you really shouldn't be exploring any of the water in, on, or around this island. This part probably actually traumatized me, and has shown me that I never ever want to play with octopuses. A pop back up on top of the island, some casual breaking and entering, and you were introduced to yet another mechanic, this time in the form of mentally reconstructing the scenes that you find and trying to piece together what it is that you're looking at. Think of something along the lines of psychic forensics, where you kind of just hope and pray that you get all the right evidence. You're eventually discovered, and after threatening an officer of the law, you get a light slap on the wrists, and you get to help the local officer investigate the Hawkins Manor. A small bit of interrogation, in probably the worst possible place to do so. A little bit of a moonlight stroll with your newfound cop buddy, and you come face to face with what is probably the most terrifying part of this game so far: Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter's Ghost. A quick wit diffuses that situation, and you enter and explore the Hawkins Manor with Officer Bradley, using all of the mechanics you've learned thus far, and found out that the Hawkins family was the victim of an unfortunate fire. You find out pieces of one of the many puzzles and continue exploring the family's mansion. A small bit of lockpicking, much better than the recent Thief game, and you discover that Sarah Hawkins may have been trying to summon eldritch horrors in her bedroom. You stumble upon her gallery where she was painting God knows what for God knows who, and you meet your own face in a painting, leading to more questions, including a cultist disappearing in the family study, and literally the only strength check in this whole game. Hooray for putting 5 points of strength in from the get-go. That disappointment of a skill check leads to a series of tunnels where you once again use your preternatural ability to piece together the past somehow and learn of more cultish desires with the silence from Doctor Who. You find some neat modern artwork enough to make a yuppie's head spin, and you find out that once again you are being worshipped by this cult for unknown reasons. You wake up at the starting scene of the game with some light homicide that no one ever has to know about. Exploring the caves leads to some more cultists and an all too familiar scene, this time with faces. After a nifty action scene that makes you feel like you're Jason Bourne, and the possibility of accidentally killing an entire cult the first night you were on this island, you trap yourself in a horrifying asylum that is your own mind. After wandering through what is already probably a really fragile psyche, we come face to face with one of the moments we have been eagerly anticipating since starting this game.
But the earth will resound to your cries, or theirs. Awake and free me.
You then wake up in a padded cell, and surprise, surprise, you're crazy! You meet a nice doctor by the name of Marie Colden, and she tries to help you escape. A bit of wandering around the psych ward as an escape patient, and a few hiding mechanics similar to Alien Isolation, and you meet a lovely young chap by the name of Francis Sanders, who thought his eyes were pudding and scraped them out with spoons. Not all is kosher with Sanders, and after what can only be described as a really terrible Tuesday night on this hellhole of an island, you were saved by Marie and Bradley and brought back to the ancestral home, where you were then whisked off to meet Sanders' recently widowed... a widow. Being caught in one lie after another, Pierce asks about something called the Shambler. Turns out it's a painting and one of the many odd curios Francis collected before his untimely end. His widow says go for gold, and you help yourself to some occult books lying around, as well as the horrifying art gallery that probably led to Mr. Sanders' untimely demise.
Now Sarah Hawkins could call to the inky void. She did so through the power of her paintings, which she used to look to eldritch truths. One painting in particular we heard about throughout half of the experience. The Shambler. What was the Shambler? Well...
Turns out the Shambler is as much a painting as it is an interdimensional demon seeking to taste madness-flavored giblets from our traumatized detective. You play hide and seek with him for a bit, find a knife that can cut through his interdimensional BS, and you get caught up by our local gang boss, watching you trying to cut off your own hand. You get a tip on who sold said knife to Sanders, and head to the Nameless bookstore, yeah, that's its real name, where the occult gets occultier, and after too many acid trips, you actually find the Necronomicon. Like, the legit thing. The real Necronomicon. Which leads to some dope out-of-body experiences where you play as Marie in her hospital. After finishing up inside her body, you meet Algernon Drake, expert on all things occult. Your weird delusional body hopping tells you that Marie is in trouble, and you race off to the hospital to try and hopefully save her. Some neat lantern mechanics later, and you find yourself back in the asylum of your own mind, where we learn that you may not be nearly as stable as you think. Isn't that a surprise? Coming face to face with, well, your face. You learn you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, at least in your dreams. You have to break the news to Bradley that his girlfriend may not be in this plane of existence anymore, and meet his bosses who take you for a fun car ride through the island. From there, you bounce around inside other people's bodies, meet old friends, wander around some really damn caves with your trusty lantern, stroll through the town in the moonlight, and have a really intense exit sequence. All in all, the game was actually an incredible experience and something that lived up to my expectations 100%. They could have done terrible and just pumped jump scare after jump scare into the game like so much of modern horror, but they didn't. Call of Cthulhu really stays true to its Lovecraft roots and is seeping with mystery, intrigue, and terror. You really don't know what's real and what isn't half the time, and truly makes you feel like you're in one of Lovecraft's books. For anyone on the fence, I highly recommend getting it and delving into the madness yourself. Well, that does it for Call of Cthulhu. It was an incredible game. I highly suggest it. Thank you to the devs for making it. 10 out of 10. I highly recommend going to get it. And if you would like to see some more reviews like this, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and share it with your friends. Who knows, maybe they will also want to delve into the madness that is Call of Cthulhu. Thank you, and we will see you in the next one.